Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you are on the lifeboat. I wish it was a little cooler in here, folks. I've had the power off for so long you wouldn't believe it. But appreciate you being here. Do me a favor, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. It has been brought to my attention that people don't like it when I say hello to people. Relatable Reese, how are you? Loretta Hauser, good to see you. Hey Heather, how you doing? Joey Girl, glad that you are here. Joanna, how are you? Heather Snoopy is here. K Design, I'm glad you're here. Buffy, what's happening? Charity Nick, sorry. Misty Blankenship. Rant, yeah, I'm coming. Wine a little bit more. Good to see you. Mushki Potam. Can't do it. Can't do it. FAFO. Good to have you here. Lisa Renfro. We all know what that means. Sharon, good to have you here. Sarah Slater, you know what? You people keep me on the air. Sam Slam, how are you? Carolina, Canada. Mommers, there you are. Hello, Melissa. Skeeter, what's happening? You're up for a good rant? You've come to the right place. Aspire to inspire. Good to have you here. Don't jump on the computer, squirrel nut zipper, and get out of my water. You're a good kitty sometimes. Not today. Natasha, how are you? I do have my green on. Aaron Gobra. Mushki Potamus. Hippopotamus? Muskipotamus. There we go. Mushkipotamus. I'm never going to get that right. Monk. Hey, how are you? Ravioli. Glad that you are here. Sherry Dobbs. Daniel Phillips. Tahoe is here. Misty Blankenship, thank you so much. Look at that. We're starting out the gate, keeping that free speech alive, which is good because I got a lot of crap I'm going to say today that they're not going to like. And hey, Jeannie Hansen, I'm glad you're here. I am Shailene. Poor old Johnny Ray set up out the radio. Broke a million hearts. Sorry, stuck me. Vicky, I'm glad that you're here. Neptune Lioness, thank you, Misty. I really, really appreciate that. And look at this. We got a bunch of people turning green, and it is the day, for people turning green. Look at this. Ba-da-ba. So if you are turning green right now, you can thank Neptune's Lioness, and I do appreciate it. I really do. And there's my beautiful wife. Relatable Reese, how are you? Great show earlier. Musky Potamus, like hippopotamus, like hippopontamus. Hello, Renee B. What is the ranting about? Can Johnny join, please? You know what? We're going to be doing a show together, I think, tomorrow, so you might want to catch that one. But, I'm not. It's not that I'm hungry and that I haven't eaten in, what are we going on, 4 or 5 days? Punisher, good to see you. 4 days of no food. I'm on working on a 7-day fast. Honestly, once you get past day 3, you're no longer hungry. And I'm not really angry about that. However, we do need to go over some stuff because we are a true crime audience. We have to get a little bit better at this. And I'm not trying to bust anybody's chops. On this, you have my word. But yesterday when we were live, somebody said, and a lot of people in the chat said, they've got an image of a person in a hoodie, right, that is looking in the window at Nancy Guthrie's house. That's not what happened, right? And, hey, Zelda, that's not even close to what happened, actually. Hey, Chef Brian K. If you're into cooking, you got to go check out that channel. It's fun as hell. And he looks a hell of a lot like a Scoville. That's not what happened. That image is taken 4.5 miles away of somebody looking in a window. And I want to tell you something, just an opinion, right? All of my stuff is opinion. But it is opinion that comes from, sadly, a lifetime breaking the law, right? As criminals, we develop an MO, right? A modus operandi or a method of operation if it makes you feel better. But what happens is we do the same thing over and over again until it ceases to work. Hey, Puget Sound, glad that you are here. You then find a way to tweak it or whatever to try to bring it back into where it works for you, right? But that individual wears a balaclava. That individual wears 2 sets of gloves, right? Hold on 1 second.
I still say it's a costume.
Did you see that news story of the group of criminals in Southern California? Maybe. I think that there's a bunch of them. Relax, Tommy. It's St. Patrick's Day. Oh, you haven't even seen me get pissed yet. Right now, I'm ramping up. You got nothing to worry about. The thing is, we're going to do a lot better in a couple of ways, right? One, if you go on a channel and the channel happens to be a situation where there's not a human being there talking, and as you hear them talking, they screw words up or numbers. They have a real bad time with numbers. You're watching an artificial intelligence channel. That doesn't mean everything they say is BS. It just means that there's a 99 out of 100 chance that what they're saying is BS. There are some people in the United States that are building autonomous channels that they don't have to worry about. The sad thing about that is this. Yes, I do believe that I did see that. The sad thing about this is that what they do is they go and grab somebody else's content, someone that goes live, somebody that has 4 people on the panel, somebody like Surviving the Survivor. They go on there and they grab the entire script. Then they put it into AI and say, regurgitate me out some shit for myself. Give me a voice that's going to do it. That sucks, right? That sucks. And it's really bad for those of us that actually do this, where you come on and you actually talk. Are you drinking nutritional things? I had a patient who went on water fast for a week and had a stroke. Sodium too low. I am not drinking anything but water. This is, however, I've done this a bunch of times in my life. Really have done this a bunch. So if I start feeling even slightly strange, I promise you I'll throw a bunch of Mediterranean sea salt underneath my tongue. But as of right now, I am really doing all right. Joey Girl says, really hate AI. Well, the problem with AI is, hey, Mop Man, they don't have to be honest in any way. They don't have to be accurate. They don't have to be anything, right? Tommy, there's been a lot of reported police activity, people in neighborhoods, backyards, trespassers. Do you think suspects dropped something and they are retracing steps to find them before the cops? I think more than likely it's people that go, you know what? F you, we're going to go look for her. Because the Pima County Sheriff's Office has been doing everything possible to keep people from doing what happens at every one of these kind of abductions, kidnappings, missing persons, whatever you want to call it. Normally, hello, West Coast Fancy Nancy, SoCal friend, glad you're here. Monk. Robin Ross, how are you? I saw somebody earlier that said, you know, it's really annoying when you say hi to the audience. The audience is a family here, and most of them have been around for a really, really long time. We need regulations for AI. Yeah, I agree. And there were times, people, where I couldn't get 15 people in a chat, right? So I'm always going to call out the audience. If it bums you out, just past the water cooler, right? Bang a left, big sign says exit on it. And you will like to know that this is not an airline. So if you want to depart, we don't need to hear about it. I'm not trying to be a dick. Maybe I am. But
You're just gearing up.
Just in time. I am new. Am I family? Absolutely. Just one time. You are absolutely family. I wrote something heartfelt on Facebook and someone accused me of using AI. Like, people can't have a remotely intelligent thought anymore without AI. It's sad, isn't it? I have a balaclava that looks like a border collie head. It's hilarious. It has ears too. First time my border collie Zeke saw me wearing it, he was a bit freaked out. Who could blame me? You know what? We're going to need to see photos. Misty Blankenship says we're a tribe here, and we are. And we're a tribe that talks about true crime. So listen up really carefully, because the next person that sends me an email that says that I need to apologize to Neckbeard, I'm going to find out where you live. You hear me? I don't owe an apology to this cat at all. What we do in true crime, right, is we try not to injure people, if at all possible, but we play a numbers game and we speculate on just, hey, Rhode Island, Papa Kenny, good to have you here. We speculate on what might or might not be happening in cases, right? We talked about all of them. This is what we do. People talked about what was going on in the times of the Brian Koberger case. Now, there were people that said, this is a college professor that did the murders. That's not cool. If I started saying, guess what? Neckbeard did the murders. I've never said that. I've never said this guy offed anybody. I've never said he's guilty. What I said is, out of the cast of characters, this is the guy I like. Now, there has also been a guy that showed a video, and I went and looked at it. It showed a video of a Kia. It's a Kia, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that model?
Soul.
Kia Soul. Thank you, Johnny Scoville. See that? 2 brains are better than 1 brain. Did you see the recent intuition where 2 brothers say they know where Nancy is in a bunker 47 feet deep? They have provided coordinates that were 12 miles away. That's a deep-ass bunker. What the hell are they doing with a bunker 12 miles deep? Good Lord in heaven. Do we really have bunkers 12 miles deep? That's a hell of a long way down, right? That's 60,000 feet. Good God, man. Interesting, though. I have not seen that. Do you believe the report that the family passed a polygraph? That's not a report. So this is another thing that happens. This is somebody that used to work in the sheriff's department on the SWAT team. That would be Special Weapons and Tactics. These are the cats that go out when you need to kick a door in. These are the guys who go out when you need to yank a door off and then kick the door behind it in, which is what they would have done at Nancy's front door, right? That's usually how those work when you have the big metal ones in front. They literally put a hook on it, pull it off, and then the guys come in. And these guys are carrying special weapons, usually things that look a lot like M16s. They also have tear gas. They've got really, really heavy stuff. It is not regular guys going to serve a search warrant. They are, however, not investigators. So they're also not polygraphers. So this guy said, yeah, I know some boots on the ground that said that the entire family has been polygraphed. Why would they not tell us that? They come out in these interviews and go, stop going after the family. All they would have had to say in the next sentence is, because they have all passed polygraph tests. Goes a long way to shutting us up, right? I'll shut up. I've said it on here 100 times. Tell me this guy passed a polygraph test and I'll move on. However, I haven't heard that. So this is what we do. We speculate. And if you want an apology for that, it's just past the water cooler on the left side. I'm not apologizing for this. For the love of God. People say to me, you really need to take a look at their kid. I'm not outing some kid. As far as I'm concerned, he's not in the cast of characters. And I'm not going to start saying I think a kid is a suspect to me. There are lines I try not to cross, right? But there are also, sometimes we get rank speculation, and we all do it. However, if you, that's right, he's just neckbeard and we're just talking. And look, if, someone said the nickname is so classless. And you know something? I spent a decent amount of time in federal prison. It's not really a finishing school. Oh, my dad would have appreciated that. Wouldn't he have? Yeah. The old man would have got a kick out of that. It's not really a finishing school, people. And granted, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but that's a pretty rugged beard. You know what I'm saying? Can we get a thread count on that, Johnny Scoville? 1,700 per square inch. That is a very serious beard. Right? I'm gonna mock him a little bit. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. You shouldn't be mocking this guy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't act like this because that freaks me out. I've followed true crime literally for 30 years. I don't see people do this when someone's missing. The press becomes your best friend, right? 2 reasons. Number one, the whole world thinks you did it. So that's a great look. Hey, they think I did it. Maybe I should hide my face and look like I did it. What you do is you walk out and say right next to the camera, hey, I didn't do this. I absolutely love that woman. I took care of her. She's one of my favorite people on planet Earth. I'm hurting more than anybody. But please do me a favor and keep praying, keep doing this, because you don't want the leads to dry up. You want people continuing to call in. And the more you're in the face of the press, the more that happens. Think Elizabeth Smart. Go back and watch old clips of that case and how every billboard, that family was out there every freaking day walking themselves with people. Walking fields, walking up and down the street. It went on forever. May have been planned, but spur of the moment due to opportunity to walk Nancy in and leave the door unlocked. Thus, the bumble look of the camera guy. Well, the camera guy did look allegedly. Why, thank you. Tommy's afraid of NBC. Savannah's deserves better. Hoda, check it out. I'm afraid of NBC. Holy crap, that may be the funniest thing anyone's ever said. I'm terrified of NBC. And look, this is the kind of stuff where I said, people can absolutely, who's painting my roses red? Well played, B. Hendricks. Oh, pardon me, but Mr. 3, why must they paint them red? Anyway, NBC is offing. They're going to grab the mother of Savannah Guthrie. For what reason? Somebody help me make sense of this. I'm not trying to bust your balls, but there are some theories, right? I was going to cover tonight, if the power didn't go off, I got a great show I'm going to do on the general. Do you know how many people in the audience are going to say to me that the aliens came and picked him up? Okay, in true crime, we're leaving the aliens off the table, right? I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it's Occam's razor, right? So we get rid of the stuff that sounds a little kooky. And to be honest with you, NBC or even Hoda, to get rid of Savannah, you're going to grab her mother, not tell her anything that's going on, just make the mother disappear. Now, here's what happens every time we get into this conspiracies and we go NBC. The circle keeps getting bigger. And when the circle gets bigger, then the perps that were at the door that can't turn someone in because they're going to do time and can't get the $1 million, the more perps that you put into this that weren't there that night, the better a chance someone goes, fuck this. I'm calling the cops. I'm making $1 million and this is over in my life. Everybody keeps saying, why doesn't anybody turn them in? Maybe because the only 3 people that are wildly connected on this thing were all there the night that it happened. But if the NBC people, how did they get a hold of the people down in Tucson? Did they do it on phones? Right? How do you set something like this up? As a former criminal, with all due respect, that offends me, because this isn't the kind of shit you talk about on a telephone. It's also not the kind of stuff that you're going to send in a text message. So the NBC brass or Hoda herself flew down to Arizona, right? I don't know, people. That doesn't pass the smell test to me. It really doesn't. I would really like to know how they're taking care of her at her age. Breaks my heart. Pebbles, I don't want to break your heart anymore, but they're not taking care of her at her age. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm terrified of NBC. You caught me. It happens. It does happen, though, every once in a while. Jimmy Hoffa and Nancy. Well, it hadn't been quite as long as Hoffa, right? And there's a great book you ought to read. Don't see the movie. Read the book. But there's a book out there called So You Paint Houses, right? Read that book, So I Hear You Paint Houses, and you'll find out what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. Tommy, is it true there isn't a pass or fail for a polygraph? It's just an investigation tool. It doesn't say whether you passed or failed, but it shows stress. It really is a machine that no anal probes. It's a machine that is going to test whether or not you are stressed out. You follow me? So there's galvanic reflux, there's your heart rate, there's perspiration, like that tests all of these different things. And there's going to be a bunch of questions that don't have any meaning in anything. I'd go, is your real name Lisa Trimble, right? Do you see that Corey Richards was found guilty on all counts? I did. In fact, we're having a hell of a month so far, right? Corey Richards and those rotten bastard Alexander brothers are all going to be looking at spending pretty much the rest of their life and maybe even a little longer than that in prison. And that's a beautiful thing. My bet's still on family, friends, or family that did it. Yeah, because and thank you, Lisa Trimble. I appreciate the support. But they ask questions like, hey, is your real name Lisa? Okay, do you really live at this address? And they're establishing a baseline. And this thing that's going up and down like this establishes that baseline. Then they say, did you have anything to do with the abduction of Nancy Guthrie? Then they'll ask a couple of more questions. Then they will say, do you know where Nancy Guthrie is now? There will be 4, usually sometimes 5 questions that are the only questions that matter. The rest of them are just to see how you answer shit, to get a baseline. And they're looking for bad reactions. If you get a bad reaction, it does not mean that you're lying. It just is a good indicator that you might be. So that's the reason that almost all courts will not allow them in there. If you aren't guilty, get out and say, hey, I need your help. Y'all help me. Yeah, that's usually how it goes down, Allie. That is usually how it goes down. You saw me, remember? No. You're not in trouble with me. Come on. You're not in trouble with me. But here's the thing. These theories we can throw out, right? But so these are what's that?
Tara's in trouble.
That's right. Tara's in trouble with me. Johnny Scoville. But this is what we want to do, right? For real, because I was the wildest conspiracy theorist in all of true crime until I started watching true crime, and I had a couple of hosts that said things like, I need you to critical think everything that you're saying from this point on. Didn't take offense. But you do stuff like this. There's a very famous quote inside prison and around any criminal, right? That 3 people can keep a secret, right? If 2 of them are dead. Nobody keeps secrets. More than 8 out of 10 people in federal prison, right, which is like the bad crimes, ratted on somebody. They cut some kind of a deal, which they call a 5K1. Everybody does it because you do the crime, but you're really not all that stoked to do the time. And when you start offering a $1 million reward, how small does this circle have to be, right? It has to be people that aren't going to be able to be tied to this enough. Because let's say you were this cat right here, right? Let's say you were this cat and a sharp-dressed man is he, right? Where is my boy? There he is. There he is. And let me get rid of that. Florida, I love you, man. No problems at all, I promise you. This cat was allegedly just catching Bitcoin, right? He said to the cops when they found him, within seconds, by the way, like this guy didn't hold his mud for 30 minutes. He said, hey, I did it. I had nothing to do with the kidnapping or anything else. I saw it on there and I thought, man, maybe I can get somebody to send me some Bitcoin. Okay. If this dude was actually involved, he could turn right now. He could turn Fed evidence, state's evidence, and walk. he might get 5 years or some BS charge. But the rest of them will be looking at 360 months on the low end, and the rest of your friggin' life, or what the fellas call the LP, right? The long play, the 72 for those of a specific age. Are we looking for Buffalo Bill copycat from Silence of the Lambs? Oh, wait. She's a great big fan person. Sorry, love that movie. Why isn't Savannah keeping it in public? Well, here's the thing. It's got to be tough, and I feel bad for them. And truthfully and honestly, we do kind of have to say everyone is going to react to these things a little bit different. However, if we can critical think these things. So if you're on one of these sites and they have the most unbelievable, why isn't Savannah keeping it in public? Yeah. I think she is to an extent, but how many times can you come out and just say, thank you for your prayers? If they had done it from the start where they showed up and they walked with people and they acted like everybody else should. I understand Savannah is wildly famous and she may be freaking out thinking that this is somebody that wanted to reach out to her. And that might make it a little frightening to be out in public, if you know what I'm saying, right? I can see where that would be a frightening thing. But here's a good example of AI, right? This is a great example of AI. And we could pick 50 new ones a day on this because they just keep coming. Tommaso finally arrested. Well, wouldn't that be nice? But it didn't happen, right? And that's something that you have to critical think. And one of the ways you can do it is if you're on something and you're like, wow, this is an incredible story, go look at the comment section. And what you're going to find is, do me a favor too, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification.
Or else.
Yeah, or else I'm coming to your house. I don't want any part of that. Relatable Reese. I just wanted to say your name. Cynthia, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. The support, people, is keeping free speech alive. And if it sounds like that's just something I say, it isn't. Right? If go watch some of the big content creators right now and how much they're freaking out about what they're doing to this kind of content. Long form content is being hunted down and run off. It used to be 25. You'd get all of these different options. Now you're seeing 3 or 4, especially if you're on a phone, and the rest are all shorts because they don't pay a lot on shorts and it's keeping the people on there, which is how they sell advertising. But they don't like long form. You know why? Because I can say stuff like the big red button sucks, and they're doing everything they can to make sure I got to say things like grape when I'm talking about grape or rape rather, or sexual assault instead of sexual assault. Pew-pews, right? The cartridges that go in pew-pews, they're called bullets and they kill people, right? People don't unalive themselves from a suspension type of unaliving.
It's wrong, it's true crime. There's nothing true about the language.
No one calls me that. It's weird. You can just call me Reese or Love Bunny.
Bunny whiskers.
But yeah, no, I've already been called Bunny Whiskers. If they did clear the Guthrie family with a lie detector test, what was the 9-second phone call about to Tommaso and the text messages? The text messages were turned over instantly to the police. Those text messages, and this is absolutely true, came in to Annie and Neckbeard, right? And Annie and Neckbeard then said, hey, we're going to look up and see where this zip code comes from. They find out it's California, and they immediately call the cops. Whatever the 9 seconds is, I don't know. Maybe the guy called, panicked, and hung up. Maybe the guy called and said, I don't want to go to prison. I have no way of telling. But what I can tell you, Keith, is that this dude went and sat down across from the FBI. And it has been speculated on other channels I happen to respect, that said he's in a catch-22. He's in a no-win situation. If he says, I'm involved in this, he's going to get the same sentence. No, he's not. You would have had to been there. If you're just a guy catching that, you're sort of on the outside. You're the ancillary player. You're the guy that can get a bag of weed and a free ride home, right? All you have to do is turn over the people that would have been responsible, not for unaliving, but for more than likely murdering this woman. Because even if your intent was to take her out of there and be super kind, if she dies in the process of a felony, that's called felony murder. Doesn't matter how it goes down. She has a friggin' heart attack. You murdered her, right? That's how that goes down. So the people that were involved that night, those people are off the table. But if your job was to pick up a phone, if your job was to catch some Bitcoin, you could cut a deal and walk. And this cat told on himself this fast. He didn't lawyer up, right? He didn't lawyer up. He said, I did it. Yeah, I did it. I saw the damn thing and I thought maybe I can get some money. And then I went and got this app that was supposed to be able to protect me so that they couldn't trace it. Didn't work out that way for them. Pro tip, if you think you're watching a true crime story and it sounds more like a novel than a documentary, it's AI and probably completely fictional. And another really easy way to do it, if you come to my house, could you please bring Reese? If I come to your house, I will bring Reese with me. How's that? Wow, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Obviously done by people who knew Tommaso and Annie would be implicated. Maybe. The thing is, they could not look up Savannah Guthrie. Your phone number, yours, is on the internet. I could find it today. Unless by some chance you paid to make sure it's not there. It's not the other way around, right? You literally have to pay to make sure your stuff isn't out there. Savannah Guthrie being the famous person she is, you can't look her up online and get a phone number. You can't. It's not a possibility. However, you can look up the rest of the family, and that's what they did. Derek did a federal crime. The kidnapping is state charges so far. What he did is definitely a federal crime, right? That's going to be, he's being prosecuted by the feds. If there was really a Bitcoin ransom note that wasn't just BS, then this would become a federal crime, because Bitcoin has to cross state lines, right? Anything that happens on the internet is crossing state lines. It becomes a federal offense. Tommy, content is true content. Thank you so much. Super grateful. And I am grateful to you, Jeannie Hansen. Thank you for keeping free speech alive. It's so much fun not to censor yourself. It really is. How do we know the accomplices are even alive? It's a great question. We don't. We absolutely don't. However, this seems odd, right, to me, that because every time you whack somebody, you're upping the odds that you're going to get caught. Now you got to kill someone. You got another body you got to get rid of, right? And we have to figure out who the who is, right? Because if those three people were hired by somebody, then who's going to do the killing of the accomplices? We then must assume that one of the people there wasn't necessarily hired, but was actually a player. And we also then have to assume that that player is a stone cold killer. And very often these people aren't stone cold killers. They're probably burglars. They're probably people that are pretty comfortable with breaking into a house during daytime or whatever. They're cool with alarms. They're cool with cameras, things like that. They were very comfortable on that front porch. Everybody says the guy looks like a clown. He certainly was dressed like one. But that cat didn't look nervous to me, right? And I've done a lot of things in my life that make you go like this, like walking into a bank to rob it, right? The first couple of those are going to make your hand do this number. That cat looked like he had done this before. Didn't look like his first job. To me, he looked very calm, very calculated, which I find kind of odd. Tommy was probably there. He admitted off the bat to ransom to avoid DNA collection and polygraph. He definitely was not there. The FBI, the first thing that they would do, I promise you, Sam Lamb, the first thing that the FBI did when they found out who this fool was is they chased down everything on his phone, found out where that phone was pinging off of, who he was talking to, who he hung out with, where he went. They tracked him for all of the time possible that he could have been in Arizona. It would have been the first thing they would have done, right? They would have done geofencing. They would have taken everything off of his phone with Cellbrite, and they're going to find out whether or not that fool was in California. The phone won't be good enough. I tried this. I had a friend who was an accomplice of sorts who used to take my phone when I would go bank robbing in other states. He would call my son, talk to him on the phone for a half hour, 45 minutes. He would drive around the city. That didn't work. That didn't work because you're going to have to up it from that. That's a start. Now we're going to have to find some people that saw you. Where do you work? Where do you hang out? These people have jobs and lives, right? So you live at this apartment? Great. Let's go look at the cameras across the street at the ATM. You follow me? So I promise you, a lot of people think the FBI are ass clowns. They are not. Nanos most assuredly is, right? That man's a clown. The FBI is not. When they went out and found out who this cat was, they found out where he had been for the last 3 weeks to a month instantly. Because if they could document that he was anywhere near Arizona, then he gets what we call a no bail hold. He's going to stay in jail, and they can keep him in there for X period of time. They ain't letting him out while they build the case. There's no way. He was out that fast. And the reason he was out that fast is because the FBI realized this cat was not part of the people that did this, in my humble opinion, right? You are 100% correct. They are proffered private testimony sealed. Yes, I am right. They testify knowing that their deal will be sweet. I'm a court stenographer. Well, yes and no, because very often, let's take a look at the guy that turned me in. He had to give him a proffer letter. And the proffer letter says, here's what I'm going to tell you. And you write the whole damn thing out. Then you hand it to the feds and they go, fantastic. We're going to work with you. You get a 5K1 deal. The judge will tell you if you get any time off of your sentence. You can go in there and the judge can go, we're going to knock 8 days off. So the kid that turned me in had done 2 bank robberies, but he didn't use a gun for either of them, and he didn't threaten anybody. So he was looking at a sentence of about 5 years, believe it or not. If you don't hurt anybody, you don't threaten anybody, you're not taking it to terrorist levels or any of that shit, you're looking at about 5 years. You know what he got? 44 months. Not a great deal for turning somebody in. I mean, honestly, it's not like they let him go home, but you never know what you're going to get on the proffer. And one of the greatest examples of that in history is Greg Scarpa Jr., right? His dad was one of the big time gangsters back in the day, hung out with all the guys from Murder, Inc., Stone Cold Killer, right? Greg Scarpa Sr., Stone Cold Killer. His son was in one of the MDCs, and between him and the next cell where you can pass notes through the wall, people will chip out all of the mortar and you can pass notes, was a terrorist. And he got the terrorist he convinced him that he was going to get a legal call. The feds set the whole thing up. And that's how they started to unwind all of the people that had been involved in the original bombing of the World Trade Center. You know what he got for it? Thank you very much. For real. They didn't give him any love whatsoever. Now, granted, this guy's a gangster, but you don't know what they're going to give you until you're already done. Thank you, Florida court reporter. Thank you for your knowledge. And thank you for the keeping free speech alive. It really does make a difference. 951 of you in here. Do me a favor. Smack that like button. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for notification. Then get over there and hit subscribe at Relatable Reese. That is my better half and far funnier than I am. My take is that the hit is already deceased. The person that did the hit, see, and you absolutely could be right. I'm not telling you that these are hard and fast rules. What I'm telling you is that if by some chance I was involved in this thing, it's bad enough that you went in thinking this was a milk run. We're just going to grab an 84-year-old woman. We're going to hold on to her for 24 hours or whatever the case was, right? But if it was a murder, they would have murdered her and left her in the house. It wasn't intended to be a murder. So they screwed this up. Now you're going, holy crap, we got a body. You got all of these things that takes this to a new level. Now you're going to start whacking each other? I think we would have already found them by now. Do I lean more towards Dominic or Derek or both? I think that it's gonna come back to be family or somebody wildly close to family. So with the cast of characters I already have, I think that that Neckbeard is my favorite right now. And that doesn't mean he did it. I'm just saying I don't have a whole lot of people to go with. And that's now, I will tell you something else though while I'm saying that. So that's who I like. However, also, what's to say the mastermind didn't blow the lower guys like a rat to allow time for him to escape and dispose of the body, figuring lower level guys would off themselves or get offed by the cops. What's to say the mastermind didn't blow in the lower guys like a rat to time? So we would be assuming that the mastermind was at the scene. I don't believe the mastermind was at the scene. I think these were hired guys. I think that they put a crew together, a crew of 3 people. I don't think that the people that are responsible for this were at the house. Now, I absolutely could be wrong, but it looks to me, and it looks to a lot of other people, that there's more than one person there. If there's more than one person there, I think you can kind of eliminate the crazy bad wiring, I want to have sex with an 84-year-old woman, because the odds that 2 people want to do that, although there is an awful lot going on. Natasha, just in time for St. Patty's Day, and you look great in green. This whole sex cult thing just keeps getting deeper. It really does. But it seems really odd to me that you would want an 84-year-old woman. First of all, even if that's your get down, this is a fragile human being. You're not going to, if your get down is to torture and hurt people, I'm sorry to sound like a really cold-hearted piece of shit, but you probably don't want someone that's going to die in the first 15 minutes you're working them over. Because this is an 84-year-old woman who allegedly can't walk 150 feet. Mobility issues. She's taken tons of medication. She needs hearing aids to hear, right? Needs a cane to walk. This doesn't seem logical. However, they just keep showing up. Allegedly. There's a lot of people reporting that the woman that is going and dropping off those paintings that we keep seeing showing up there, she claims to be a medium. Looks a little bit more like a large. I'm gonna catch hell for that. It's just come on. I could have said, looks a little bit more like a small. Anyway, I don't believe she's a medium, but I do believe she may be batshit crazy, but allegedly, and I'm waiting to get some photos from some people that promised me they can get me these photos. They can put this woman at these odd gatherings of all of these people that like to swing from hooks and paint Baphomet on the wall and act kind of creepy. I just have one more question. If you can answer it, do you think the crime was actually committed there at Nancy's, or was her home staged? I've heard some theories that make a lot of sense. Okay, I will go through my theory on this. And somebody left a comment. Thank you, Natasha. Free speech is alive and well on St. Patty's Day. Somebody left a comment that said, hold on one second. Yes. Now, if I brought someone out right now and I said, this is my expert, and they said without a shadow of a doubt that this did not happen, right? Derek Kaya was the connection to Tommaso. He didn't need to be in Arizona. Right. But if he wasn't in Arizona, then he is somebody that can cut a deal. He doesn't have to go in there and agree to do 10 years in prison for a job that he didn't get paid on. You follow me? So if you're at the scene, you're absolutely going to be hit with felony murder. If you are the person that's just catching the money, if you're the person that just made introductions, in theory, they can still hit you for felony murder. But if they haven't got anything to go on and you go, I can hand you this thing with a big ass bow on it. Sammy the Bull Gravano had 18 or 19 murders. He said, I'll give you John Gotti. And they said, how about 5 years? Think about that for a second. You're going to do a nickel for killing 12.5 people. If the feds want what they can't get, they'll give you a wild deal. And I promise you, they would have, hey, Indiana, glad that you're here. Chad Ayers is a former SWAT team leader. I don't know how he would know that they took polygraph tests and passed with flying colors. I do think it's BS. I absolutely think it's BS. He's not a polygrapher. He wasn't an investigator. So he knows boots on the ground is the term he used. I went and watched it. And to be honest with you, it was excruciating. I don't like Megyn Kelly. And I thought that, anyway, boots on the ground. He's not even working anymore. But he knows somebody there who told him that they passed with flying colors. Then why hasn't Nanos eliminated them as suspects? Because he keeps begging guys like me to stop talking about them. And all the dumbass has to do is say, they're not suspects. In fact, they volunteered happily, took polygraphs from the FBI and passed. And everybody's going to start changing the narrative. He begs us to stop talking about them, says they're not suspects, but he's going to hold on to the information that they passed polygraph tests. For what friggin' reason? What benefit would it be to not tell the world that they passed? Now, granted, maybe he's just the worst cop on planet Earth. But if that really happened, I have a feeling that the FBI, all the way to the FBI, I think the FBI would come out and say it. Do you know why? Because they don't want to get leads that are worthless. How many of the 55,000 leads do you think have neckbeard in them in one way or another? How many of those leads do you think are focused on that family? Because I would imagine if the family has passed polygraph tests, they'd be really happy to stop getting friggin' phone calls about them. Right? Logic? No? Anyone? You think I'm off base on this? Anyone who not subscribed to Relatable Reese, please join us. Our conversations are all over the place, but we're extremely supportive. Yeah, there's a really good chance you'll talk about side boob. I could keep going, but I've already hit everything else. The hit and the other hit are already deceased. Okay, so which hit are we talking about? To me, a hit is when you're hired to go kill somebody. So I'm not sure when you say the hit and the other hit are already deceased. How could one person do this? Not possible. It's not a sex thing. Why bother to take her away and take nothing from her? Well, I agree with all of that. But the hit and the other hit are already deceased. Do you mean, so you're talking about the two accomplices? Is that what you mean? That they're already whacked? Who whacked them? And how do they keep stacking up bodies without getting caught? As any or multiple people missing around the time now and when Nancy went missing? There were 3 abductions or 4 abductions across the country. There was actually one in Arizona, and it turned out to be, because you'll see it just reported it, it was not a kidnapping in the traditional sense of the word. It was a disgruntled mother that grabbed a kid she has joint custody of in a divorce and hauled ass, right? Those are considered kidnappings. You used to be able to write shorthand at 90 words per minute. That's terrifying. I don't think I could do anything. Neckbeard and Hoda did it. She financed it, hoping to steal that chair. Okay. Again, not going to bust any chops, I promise you. But So now what we're talking about is a national figure had to get money to Neckbeard. How do you propose she did that? Because I promise you that forensically, the FBI is crawling up his backside. Bank accounts, cell phones, any way that money can be transferred in any way. And they are going to be looking at where his phone has gone for the last 3 months. So how did Hoda figure out how she was going to get a hold of Neckbeard without leaving a trail, right? Because if you just randomly call this fool on the phone, trust and believe the FBI are going to find that. So he had to get a burner phone. How did she know about the burner phone? How did she get a hold of him to tell him to get a burner phone? And I'm not busting balls, but as a former criminal who was tripped out that they were looking and listening to everything I said, if somebody from New York wanted to hire me, they would have had to get on a plane and come to where I live personally, which would have scared the shit out of me if we've never been introduced. Right? They come walking up and go, hey, I got an idea for you. I'd go, who the hell are you? Get away from me. I'm going to call the cops. Crank call, crank call. Roberta, thank you so much. Roberta says only 351 of you have hit the like button. I would imagine it's because you don't like me. And that's okay. That's okay. Then hit the I don't like you button. What would Neckbeard's motive be? Well, here's the thing. Motive on this one is absolutely all over the place, right? No one seems to have a really good idea of what the motive is, except for Nanos. He says he's got it, right? He's got that motive. He's not going to tell us what it is, but he said that he knew that what that motive was in the very beginning. You heard his last one, right? Hi, Tommy, I got a banana on TikTok because I was live streaming you. No way. Well, I'm glad that you are here. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people that have tried to pass polygraph tests. Valium does help. They've gotten pretty good at looking at things like base levels. If they think for 1 second that you're off, all they say is, this is inconclusive. Come back tomorrow and we'll do it again. And it becomes a little bit more difficult when you're doing it with the FBI. I think with a run-of-the-mill polygrapher, I had a friend that I loved. He was a good guy. He was a former Vietnam vet. He wasn't burdened by deep thought. And that cat beat a polygraph test, and it was over a body, right? So if he could beat it, yeah. And you know the number of psychopaths who have been polygraphed and passed, and then we found out that they were killing people? I mean, a ton of them. So you're right, but it's a great tool in the beginning of a case like this, right? Maybe just say they agreed to take polygraph tests or they didn't agree to take polygraph tests. Do you think Arizona is more corrupt than other states? No, honestly, I don't. I think that Nanos is an asshat. He's not very good at what happens. Big fan of Side Boob. I am as well. Huge fan. I can't stress enough how much of a fan of Side Boob I am. No, the mastermind planned the hit. Okay, so he had to get a gun. Thank you, Sherry. You look great in green, and I appreciate supporting free speech. Okay, so the mastermind had to leave the house wherever they were at and go whack that person, or they had to hire another hitman to do it, right? Now we take a 4-man crew with a mastermind's a 5-man crew. They got to hire another person, and every one of those asses has the potential to talk to one person who talks to one person. It gets very difficult when the circle starts getting bigger, right? It really does. And the mastermind, the second this thing went bad, now you got to go get a hitman, right? In a town where you're going to go out and hire people while the FBI is walking around asking questions to everybody on earth. It's, believe it or not, no matter how much of a gangster you are, most of us don't have a hitman in our phone. They're not as easy. I mean, you see them on these crime shows and the person's like, I gave him $400 down. The real people, you're not getting somebody killed for less than 10 grand. And most of them want 25 to 50. You're not paying for them to kill someone. You're paying for them to make sure that they don't get caught. Because you can pay someone $1,000. They're always going to get caught. And when they do, they're going to roll on you and do less time than the person that hired them. Look that up. I'm not playing. So the mastermind planned the hit and then the hit on the original hitman. Yeah, we'll just have to agree to disagree on this because you're now getting into a world that hiring a hitman isn't something you're going to do in 2 seconds on a telephone. You're going to be driving around, right? You're going to be really, I can speak 10,000 words per minute. Yeah, I probably can. If it was a crime gone wrong, they sure did a great job of hiding a dead body for over a month. Yeah. Why doesn't the FBI reach out to a psychic investigator for clues? They have done it in the past. However, normally when they will do that, It's literally when this thing is so cold that there are no longer any leads to work, right? They're taking the whole thing in a box, sticking it on a shelf, right? At that point, they will reach out to everything. I mean, to anybody. Honda, great bikes. You only get warrants for 10 days at a time, then back through the process again. So why do they keep Annie's car for so long? Because it had evidentiary value. The same reason they keep anything, right, for any length of time is because they think it had evidentiary value. That's it. Brian Enton says they are asking neighbors about all contractors. They don't have a clue. Could be the case. Could be the case. Probably a gambling debt. Well, here's the thing. If you've ever done any kind of gambling, right? Saying the family all passed polygraph means nothing unless we know what the questions are and who gave the polygraph, right? And how about the head cop actually coming out and saying it? So we're not hearing it from somebody that retired 2 years ago that says, hey, I know somebody in there, right? I don't buy that shit, especially because I have watched them put up one ridiculous story after another, right? With all due respect to Megyn Kelly. I was covering the Nick Reiner case pretty heavy, right? And I will continue to do so. She came out and said that Nick Reiner's mother died in an ambulance on the way to the hospital. No, that didn't happen. But she will run with shit that I promise you she doesn't chase down. And it didn't used to be that way, but she's a disinformation machine these days. Probably a gambling debt. So there's only, how do you gamble? You can go to a casino, right? And there's 800,000 cameras in a casino. Like no place you've ever been on planet Earth. You want to see some cameras, go into a freaking casino. Or you can do it online, which means that these devices and your credit cards are going to be lit up and very easy to find. The third option is you're going to go with a bookie, right? Now, you can get into some pretty deep gambling debts with bookies. Not technically or not normally in a place like Tucson, Arizona. Bookies are a lot more rare these days than they used to be because there are so many other ways for people to gamble. There are still cities that have tons of them, and they're usually also running illegal numbers games. You know what that is? Like you play a number like a lottery. And then what they'll do is they'll say, we're going to take the first 4 races at Aqueduct, or we're going to take the first 4 races at, right, pick your favorite horse track. And that's how the numbers are picked randomly every day. And everybody puts $1 in and you play the numbers. You've heard that? Like the numbers runners? Okay, so if there aren't numbers being run in a city, then finding a legit no shit bookie becomes a little bit more difficult to do. I would be surprised if any of these people were gambling with bookies in Tucson. And even if they were, right, if bookies are there, bookies will usually talk to a cop, telling you the truth. But, I've known a few. They like to keep booking bets. So if the cops come to go to a bookie and say, we just want to know if one person is betting with you, we're not looking to shut you down or anything else, they'll go, sure, it's the guy. I don't think it would be very difficult to prove whether this guy had a gambling problem. That would be my opinion on that. Lily Pod. I mean, there's I think that's all pretty solid stuff. I think that there's a decent amount of critical thinking in this comment. The master phone box was open. This may eliminate the need for a burner phone. If you have an old landline phone or a lineman phone, you can tap into any line's main phone boxes and call. That is absolutely the truth. However, they're not like they used to be, right? I used to do that. That was one of my all-time favorite hustles. You could just take a receiver and you could go into any box. You could do it on the side of someone's house, or you could do it on the boxes down. And when you would open it up, there would be the little port, just like you would plug your phone into your house. And you would slide that in and you just hit 1 and dial long distance. And when I was a bad person, I did it all the time, right? It was a very easy way back in the day when you actually had to pay for long distance. That was my favorite way to make a phone call. However, look at the box that's opened at that place. That's not that kind of box. What that is thousands of wires. And those wires are all different colors. That is all fiber optic stuff. I don't know. I would imagine a lineman might be able to do that, but you're not plugging a phone in like we used to. Those boxes are really different. Sadly, my power was out because I took a picture of that box because they're reporting it all over the place that these criminals went there, pulled that box open and just turned off. Man, miss me with that shit. There's the number of wires inside that. If they have that kind of expertise, they should be looking for somebody that used to work in that line, right? In that line of work, because it's not something that the average person is going to pop the side off of that thing and go, yeah, I'll just disconnect this. Yeah, it is really odd. I agree with you. Jerry Ellen, you're 100% right. It's weird as hell that the people from this fetish show keep showing up at Nancy's house. $400, you're the one who's going to jail? Do you mean me? Boy, I hope not. I don't want to go to jail. Oh, I see what you're saying. If you hire somebody for $400. If the FBI can't figure it out, then let's do a Jimmy Hoffa versus Nancy. I like it. I may end up doing that show. Tommy, look at the ghetto in Tucson. You could probably get a hitman for a couple of pints of wild Irish rose. You absolutely could get a hitman in the ghetto in Tucson, and you could probably get it for a crack rock or an 8-ball, for real. However, you're going to get caught that night, right? You get what you pay for, especially if you're unaliving someone. If you're paying to have somebody murdered, you better spend a lot of money because you get what you pay for.
It's less than 100 grand to cop.
Yeah, I mean, for real. If Johnny Scoville said if it's less than 100 grand, you're probably talking to a cop. And Catherine, I agree with you. Ribs are coming off the grill now. Daniel, if you don't bring enough for everybody, Tommy got you a case of Fiji water since you're not going to eat homegrown habaneros on top of baked potato and cheese. Now, that's just cold-hearted. For the love of God. I can't remember the last time I ate, and you're telling me about this? All right, that's it. I'm breaking this fast tonight. I know it might not be popular, but I'd like an episode about Leopold and Loeb. You know what? Renee B., that's a great case. If you're a true crime aficionado, that is an unbelievably cool case. I will do that. And you know what? Not a lot of people will see it. But yeah, I think it's Neckbeard too. Now, I don't know whether or not Neckbeard took a polygraph or not, because no one's really given us anything to go on that except people that probably don't know, unfortunately, right? Renee B., I will do that because that's one of my absolute favorite true crime cases of all time. It's fascinating to beat hell. That's a good one. Snooky12, look at that cat. That cat looks remarkably like she might be from the tribe of squirrel. Got some tortie qualities. I love tortoiseshell cats more than anything. They estimate their income from $500,000 to $2 million a year, so they're not poor. Teacher, poet, published author, jewelry company owner. The gambling debt is just an unverified rumor. The gambling debt is absolutely just a Florida thing. Neckbeard and Hoda and sisters are the only people to gain. Unless Savannah should sue Ashley Banfield if this is true. Well, here's the deal on that. You can't sue somebody for saying the truth, right? So defamation, the defense of defamation, and most people are aware of this, the defense of defamation is the truth, right? So if I say, you know what, Johnny Scoville is dealing dope. He's not selling peppers. If he's dealing dope, I got nothing to worry about. Now, if I say that and all he's doing is selling peppers, I'm in deep doo-doo, right? If what she said was the truth, if in the beginning days of this investigation, they were centering in on Neckbeard, then she didn't do anything wrong. She's a reporter. She's a true crime reporter. And you know what? I would have run with that story. I would have. If I had a solid source, so would anyone else. I am doing a show on this tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but the power outage threw me off. I'm absolutely doing a show on this tomorrow. I've watched a lot on this. I have a very different take on this than everyone else does. I think it'll be an interesting show to do. And you're right. They're not talking about him. This isn't getting, it's still getting airtime. I mean, there are videos out there. There are people that are absolutely focused on this. Unfortunately, just keeping it real, right? It's going to bring in the UFO crowd. And I happen to believe that we've been lied to about UFOs forever. That said, there's a segment of people that believe that UFOs have been here that are batshit crazy, right? I'm sorry, that are really out there. And a lot of the people in chats like this are going to say, the aliens came and got them, right? The aliens came and snatched this guy up. That's why you can't find anything. As of right now, this guy's been missing a hot minute. They found a sweatshirt they believe might come to him. Didn't take his phone, didn't take his watch, didn't take anything that makes sense, including his glasses. And he happens to be a guy that is a accomplished skier. He's a wild outdoorsman. This is a guy, you don't need any evidence. You don't need any evidence. You need a source within the police department, which is exactly what she said she had. She said a source that is as respected a source as she's ever had. She's worked with them before. That source said to her, they're focusing in on neckbeard. She doesn't need proof. She doesn't need evidence. She said, somebody inside said this. That's how that works. Yeah, cat. I have no problem if people believe that, right? But he took a gun, which appears suicidal. You know what, though? Do we know that he took a gun? Honestly, I've seen that on one channel. I'm not 100% sure the guy took a fish sticks and cocktail sauce. I'm a redneck. Florida Panhandle, Lower Alabama, still only 50 degrees. Fish, there's nothing wrong with fish sticks and cocktail sauce, though. God help us, I could eat that right now. To be really honest with you, I could eat a newspaper with hot sauce right now. Joanne Marie says, I believe it was a suicide. Here's the thing. Everybody talks about how much this guy was involved in the UFO stuff. This guy knew more about our secret weapons projects than just about anybody. He honestly had a $2 billion budget and then a $2 billion outside of that budget to help develop. I think he was probably snatched up by another country that wants him. To me, that makes way more sense. This is a guy that's got so much in his dome that is valuable. It keeps me up worrying that Nancy suffered for a while. I don't believe that would be the case. If she would suffered for a while, let's call it 2 or 3 days, then whoever grabbed her could have very easily showed proof of life and tried to get paid, right? Someone said artwork was missing. Did you hear or see anything on this matter? I have seen the person that said that, but I have not seen it verified anyplace. I don't believe that artwork was taken. Here's the thing, too, just from a thief standpoint. So if you're going to steal artwork, you're going to leave a wallet that's got hundreds of dollars in it on the counter. You're going to leave pain medication. If you're a thief, you're taking anything gold, you're taking any cash, and you're rifling the hell through that house. You're tossing stuff, right? Thieves go in there and look for things of value. And you know how hard it is to move art? Honest to God, it's such a traceable commodity. It's not like you go to a pawn shop and go, hey, check this out. It's a difficult thing to get art. But I have heard that. They said that there was a painting missing. I don't think you go in there and tape the woman so that you can steal her painting. However, we will find out. Why would T off his mother-in-law when it will take years to get Nancy declared deceased and any inheritance? Okay, let's go with this for a second. Just suspend disbelief for a minute. Most successful kidnappings are over within 24 to 36 hours. What if the plan was to go in there, grab her, show proof of life, and say she's going to get whacked if we don't get 4 Bitcoin or if we don't get $2 million in cash, right? Here's how you're going to deliver it. And they have this whole plan. And then the people that you hire on the way out the door accidentally kill her, right? I don't think that I don't think they were going in there to kill her, right? If you just wanted to off his mother-in-law, you shoot her in the head and leave her on the floor. That gets you paid a hell of a lot faster. Taking her out of there screams to me that this was intended to be something other than just a random abduction. This was a kidnapping for profit, right? Whether it was ransom, whether it was leverage, they were grabbing this woman and wanted her alive for some reason. If you want to kill somebody, you don't take them with you. I'm sorry, criminals don't do that. They go in and kill you. It's not easier to get, well, it covers up the DNA. Miss me with that, right? You covered up all the DNA. You're in there. Shoot her with a silenced weapon and walk out. Hit her in the head. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be cold-hearted. But if this was a hit, you hit her. Right? She walked out still alive or carried out or whatever, still alive. Now, let me do this one more time because somebody said earlier and I squirreled off in the distance like I often do. This is a base, right, for a pacemaker. This is a base for a pacemaker. When the pacemaker disconnects from the base, this is going to be hooked up to Wi-Fi. It's going to tell you where that person was when they disconnected from the base, and the Wi-Fi signal is going to tell you where they were. So if when she disconnected from the base, that was at Annie's house, then that phone would have said, or that watch would have said, she's at Annie's. That didn't happen. It said she was at home, right? So her base, her phone was hooked up to the Wi-Fi, the tower in her house, when there is no proof that Tommaso has power of attorney. I have documents of power of attorney, but they do not give any power of attorney over Nancy Guthrie's estate. And I think this is where people got confused. There are several documents where, hey, Todd, good to see you. where Neckbeard got signed over power of attorney to his wife, right? Ann something Guthrie. I can't remember what her middle name is, but I just finished reading it before we went live. I was doing it in the dark, which is why you're not looking at it. Tomorrow I will post those up for you so you can actually see the filing. It could have happened that she was so disoriented from being asleep, and when they broke in, she may have stumbled and hit her head on something, and that's how she died. Could explain 40 minutes. But she wasn't dead when she left there, right? The pacemaker would have been showing that it was trying to reconnect. It would have been sending a signal saying, we're trying to turn it back on. We're trying to turn the heart back on. We're trying to turn the heart back on. It will keep doing that till the battery goes out. When a person dies, the pacemaker doesn't go out of business. As far as the pacemaker knows, the heart needs to get smacked back into rhythm. And it will keep sending that like this forever. Why take her? Because you were going to show pictures of her and you were going to say to somebody, hey, I have her. Ask any question that only she would know the answer to, right? This is how kidnappings work. I think somebody wanted to do this. It was a kidnapping that went wrong. If it was a robbery gone wrong, they still would have stolen shit. That's usually how it happens. Thieves are thieves. Not for nothing, I was a thief. Right? That's that. All of my crimes came back to me stealing stuff. It's kind of how I get down. Happy Patty's Day. I don't do that anymore, obviously. Then I'll tell you what, Kathy, right? Send that to me because I went and did that. And what I have are power of attorney, but it has nothing to do with Nancy. It has to do with her daughter. Those are the only ones that I could find at the Pima County Records Office. So if you can get that, send it to me. I'll make you famous, and I will say I'm sorry to you and all kinds of other fun stuff. Hell, I'll get you a membership for a year. Come in here and do that. I would love to have that sent to me. What if Neckbeard admitted he did it, but it was an accident? Doesn't matter because the accident would have been in the commission of a felony, right? What's he going to say? Let's say he said, I went in there and we were arguing about money and I pushed her. Yeah, you killed her. Like bottom line. And if you had called 911 on the spot, you got a shot of working that out. But you know how you talk about premeditation? There's also post-meditation. What did you do after the crime, right? That shows mens rea. It shows that you know you're guilty of sin. So if this had been Neckbeard for the last how many days, he's just hanging out, trying not to get arrested. What does this say? Oh my God, stop with ugly art. Pinky is crazy. Quit doing ugly things. No DGL super chats, candles, etc. Natasha, don't do that. What you find to be attractive and what other people find to be attractive is very different, right? Don't do that. We're better than that. I like candles, right? And I like pink. It's one of my favorite colors of all time. Nancy Guthrie had the luck of having a pacemaker to help her health conditions. Who would have imagined that her life would be cut short like that? What are the odds? Not good. I mean, statistically, I can give you a little bit of the odds. Less than 1%. Now, they don't break down how much less than 1%, but of all abductions, less than 1% have anything to do with octogenarians, people in their 80s. Doesn't make any sense. This usually does not happen. Not at all. He gets super chats for candles. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I'm lost, Natasha. It's probably me. I'm a YouTuber, but I'm not a very good YouTuber, so I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about. For inheritance. Oh, are you talking about this? Yeah, I don't know. No, don't do that. You're correct. Nobody has power of attorney on Nancy. Thank you, because that's what I found. Why was the porch guy was at the door in the front? They're held to get into, right? Okay, here's my theory on this one. And it's just a theory, people. I could be wrong, right? But I'm going at this like a former criminal, right? Which is kind of my defining characteristic on this channel. Do you see that? That black thing we know is the handrail that you would have to use to walk up about 3 steps, right? And right behind that little black ribbon you see is the driveway. My theory is you're not going to walk this woman a quarter of a mile or a half a mile to wherever your getaway car is. You're not going to walk her down a driveway and have somebody meet you at the street. That's way more than 150 yards. So, 150 feet, 50 yards, whatever. So you're going to have a car pull up right there. This cat's one job was to get rid of that camera. I think once he got rid of that camera, he went around back to meet his accomplice so that they could go in together. That's my theory on that. Could be wrong. But if I got hired to do that, I would want that camera knocked out. Because if you don't take out that camera and you go straight to the back, when the getaway car comes there, you're going to be able to tell what kind of car it is. You're going to be able to tell if there's dents in it, right? There's going to be a lot of information you can get from that view right there. So I think dude's job was to get rid of that camera. I certainly would have wanted it done that way. Well, they didn't leave out the back door or her blood wouldn't be in the front, right? If they left out the back door, sorry. The aspirated blood is right in front of the front door. So I think, in my opinion, could be wrong. This is my opinion. I would never break into a house through the front door, right? Never would break into a house through the front door. I might exit through the front door, right? Right? Because that makes sense. Now I look like I live there, right? Maybe tick off some of that stuff, right? But all he's got to do is walk that short distance. And that driveway is protected by all of that cactus and foliage that you see, that everybody is setting down all of those like tributes and flowers and all that jazz. Do me a favor, people, smack the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification, right? I would really appreciate it. It does help, believe it or not. Strange that the blood droplets. I don't think she's the kind of person that could have tried to escape out the front door. I mean, especially if there were two guys there. Well, I understand why you'd say this, and a lot of other people have said this as well, right? However, the blood, according to experts, and people said to me, what experts? Their opinions. The guy that was talking about this wrote the book on blood splatter. Right? Literally, like he's the guy that wrote the book on it. It's in its fourth printing. And the other one is the guy, and I can't think of his name, but he's worked 3,000 death scenes. He said there's aspiration in that blood. Came out of a nose or a mouth, cough, sneeze kind of thing, right? So if that blood was planted, they're pretty damn good at this. And I don't see a point in, like, what's the benefit to plant blood at the front door? How does that benefit them in any way? So that we look out the front door. They're so long gone. By the time anybody got there, it was what, 20 hours or something after she had been abducted, right? Or even 10 hours. You don't have to here's the front door, right? It's to me, that doesn't make sense. Now, let's say you're just a cold-hearted piece of shit and you've got this 84-year-old woman by the back of the hair and you got her head down, right? You're holding her head down and you're trying to fix the door. She sneezes there, right? Everybody else sort of steps around it. I don't think that's a stretch. Or she's wrapped up in a blanket, because both of these experts said her head was close to the ground. It wasn't like this happened from up top. It happened with her close to the ground, allegedly, right? This is what these people, and I'm no blood splatter expert, people. I've been punched in the nose more than the next guy, but I don't know much more than that. Hey, look at that. Canvas and Crime. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. St. Patty's Day. Look at all of you turning green. Jesse, Nanos could be doing a misinformation campaign to try to keep people from knowing what's going on. Anyone thought about they went to take her to the ATM and she died on the way? If you take a person like that to an ATM, the ATM machines they're going to pull every camera from, because ATM machines almost always face main roads, and they're going to be looking at every one of those. It's really kind of dangerous to take a perp, or for a perp to take. It wouldn't be worth it. What's it going to cap you at? Well, what's the cap these days? $600? Some machines might give you $1,000. That's a lot of risk for $1,000, right? You're not going to do a whole lot of business at an ATM machine, my opinion. And again, not to sound like a prick, but if I want to take money out of someone's ATM machine, I'm going to smack the person until they give me the code. I'm not going to drag them up there, right? And you don't have to. Yeah. So Mi Vida Loca, the experts on this say that there's no chance that that's going to be skin because of the aspiration in there. Think about it like spit in blood, right? Think about it like spit in blood. This is aspiration, like it comes out and you've got phlegm and other stuff in it. And according to these guys, they can spot that from 5 feet. I personally cannot. But she was basically crippled, no walker, no cane to assist. Yeah. ATM from an 84-year-old woman on a Sunday morning? Probably not. I'm with you on that. Thank you so much for turning people green. All right, folks. I believe she tried to leave at the front door. The guy we saw in the camera heard her with a weapon, pulled her back in, and then got her through another part of the house. You would have to run away from the bad guy to do that, though, right? I mean, think about it. If you're going to try to escape, you're literally going to have to. I don't see this woman running from anybody. I think of my mother, right, who is the same age. And we've actually had conversations about this. And I said to my mom, could you run from somebody? She went, for a foot or two, right? I don't think that. And I also think that she was going to be absolutely friggin' horrified, right? I'm 6'2", 220 pounds, spent a lot of time at the nastiest federal prisons on earth. And that would scare the shit out of me if you came in there with that balaclava, that outfit with a gun hanging right over your dick. I'd be pretty damn scared, man. I really would. She had a pacemaker defibrillator. Some people have said just a pacemaker. Either way, even if it is not a defibrillator and it's not trying to literally shock her back into life with a clear, right? It's still going to try to fix the rhythm. That thing will continue. And I had 2 doctors who installed these puppies reach out to me who I interviewed. So they're going to keep going zah, 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 until it runs out of battery. And the base would have picked that up until the time that she disconnected from it. We knew that her heart spiked, right? She had both allegedly. I've heard that too. But either way, it would still continue to do this. And it would still be uploading to the base, which is hooked to the device on the wall. Capiche? The base would still be hooked up to the Wi-Fi. Where did all of the messages in the chat go? God help us. I hope they didn't go anywhere. Ruth, I don't know. They may be on your end. Back out and come back in. Don't say it, Johnny Scoville. Back to the point. Why would they take her and nothing else? Because they were there to take her and nothing else. They went there to leverage this woman, to either trade her for money or to trade her for something else. But they went there to kidnap this woman. I don't think that any of the Bitcoin shit has anything to do with that, because once she died, it was no longer about a Bitcoin. Right? For real. After that, it certainly was not about that anymore, because you could not show proof of life, right? Wonder if they used a stun gun and that did something to the pacemaker, causing damage. It's not a bad thought, because it has been done before. I don't mean killing people, but SRV fan, God, I love that. We were just talking about SRV. If you've ever seen the video of he and his brother playing the double neck, probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen in music. But people have used stun guns to get people to comply when they are kidnapping them. I don't think you got to do that with somebody that's 85 years old. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But I don't think this was a burglary gone wrong. I think that this is with the pacemaker that she had, Yellow Rose in Texas, allegedly 40 to 60 feet. Once you get 40 to 60 feet away from the base, it's a wrap. That is what has been reported. That is what I was told by 2 different doctors. So I agree with you, Mi Vida Loca. There's no way that those ransom notes had anything to do with this. Those were opportunistic pieces of shit, human vermin trash that just wanted to make money off of somebody at their lowest point of their life. However, keep trying to ask you about security door gate needing 2 keys. Struggled with her on that. I have to look that up. I don't know anything about that. What do I think the FBI knows at this point? I think they're chasing down leads. Well, that just sucks. Well, that just absolutely sucks. Same thing as this morning, Tommy. You send a message and it disappears the moment you hit send. It's got to be a YouTube glitch thing. It's happening to me too. Well, that sucks, doesn't it? Really? Pacemaker would not work after a fire or water. Well, I mean, you can swim with a pacemaker because it's underneath your skin. That's not so much of an issue. But after fires, they explode. They absolutely explode. The metal gate needs a key. Interesting. Did they really need a gun? Ain't Todd? I think that was all a uniform, man. I think all of that was a uniform. That is meant to intimidate the person. It's meant to scare her into compliance. No, they don't need a gun, right? They don't need a gun. They don't need any of that. They just needed to scare the shit out of her. Thank you, Bun. You see that? Neighbor guys then moved away. The one neighbor interviewed with Brian and mentioned them too. Yeah, but people move out of neighborhoods all the time. what's the motive for somebody? This is a very affluent neighborhood, right? This isn't Beverly Hills, but this is a really, really nice neighborhood. Do I think the case will be solved? I absolutely think the case will be solved. I don't have any, and I mean any, faith whatsoever in Sheriff Nanos. I think the man is a dishonest piece of, anyway, I think he's a dishonest piece of shit is what I think he is. But I have all kinds of faith in the FBI because I spent a good chunk of my life with them hunting me down, and they are damn good at what they do. They are terrifyingly good at what they do. They said today that her front door had a lock I see from the, a lot of people do this. So they needed a key from the inside or the outside. Now, you jack in the back door, it's not going to be hard to get the front door key, right? It's probably sitting on the counter next to her wallet. This all has something to do with that fetish club. I'm positive of that. Jerry, Ellen, if my second option would be that something is going on with that, because I hate coincidences and true crime. And holy shit, there's a lot of people involved in this that seem to hang out with that fetish crowd, right? You remember the girl that went out there? Let's see if we still got a picture of her lying around here. And if so, it's not because I dig her, because I found her kind of creepy. But I do think I still have a picture of them somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Maybe I got rid of them. Thank God. Maybe I did. Okay, but you remember the two people that were posing out in front of Nancy Guthrie's house and looking very much like they were on their way to freaking at the Freakers Ball? See what I did there, Johnny Scoville? Freaking at the Freakers Ball. They were wearing leather and having pictures taken. She said she was going to sue the YouTubers. Do you know why she was there? Allegedly. She was there to launch her true crime channel. Any security half-ass can get in a door or window, especially if they know there's no connected security system. That's a fact. It's not very difficult to get into a house. No. Kiki is on OnlyFans. Well, I'm going to miss her. I'm not really an OnlyFans kind of guy, but doesn't surprise me. But apparently she wants to launch a true crime channel. And the moment everyone has been waiting for, SNZ. What's happening, Zip? What about my finger? This is my girl. Stay there. Don't want no part of it. The fact that fetish people keep showing up, it seems like they're trying to taunt someone in the family. Yeah, but if the family doesn't know they're being taunted, it's kind of worthless, right? And this one does seem to have no motive, at least in the minds of everybody but Nanos. Can Nanos be in the way of the FBI? Can he sideline their investigation? I would argue that he already has, right? They have the ability to send stuff off to Quantico and test it, and then instantly put that stuff up into, and then put it into the CODIS system. Instead, he sends it to a lab in Florida that can't upload it into the CODIS system, and it literally stretches the timeline out by best case scenario a week or more, worst case scenario months. All right, people, I'm going to wrap this thing up, see if I can go talk to my wife, Relatable Reese. Well, I call her Pooter, but Relatable Reese. If you have not stopped by and checked her out, you need to. She will make you laugh, and she's an absolutely beautiful person inside and out. You have a cat named Jack Tripper. I love that. I love that because you hang at the Regal Beagle. So you got to be old to get all those jokes. And stop by Chase the Heat. Check out the Johnny Scoville. We're going to be doing a show together, I think, tomorrow, but you're going to want to go check him out anyway. But between now and the next time I see you, hit subscribe to all of the people that I push for nepotism. If you like what I do here, you're going to love them. I promise you. It's just sort of, I will tell my lady hi for you. You have my word. And you know what? Just since she's not here, let's embarrass her real quick. This was I believe this was the last time she was getting her hair done. Don't tell her I did this. But how about that one? Do you love that? All right, people, hit that subscribe button on the way out the door. Thank you for spending your evening with me. Tomorrow, don't not show up because we're going to be doing the general, and I would really like to talk about this. I'd like to hear you guys' opinion. Kind of fascinating that we have two people that literally just went poof at the same time. These kind of crimes don't happen very often. They really don't. The fact that there's two of them happening at the same time is somewhat fascinating to me. All right, people, do me a favor. Between now and the next time I see you, pray for this family. This has got to be hell on the Guthrie family. It really does. And just pray that this gets resolved quickly because they absolutely need it. All right. I'm Tommy. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Good night.